remember that day down to the smells and shades of light, the dusty gold of the late sun in our hallway, the cold touch of the door handle after fencing practice, the slight tremor in my fingers from exhaustion, and the familiar certainty that the world was simple. School, the fencing hall, my father in his office, me with a book on the couch. It all felt predictable, like road markings on an empty street. I was 10, and I almost believed I already knew what victory felt like. The fencing hall was my tiny universe. The leather grip, the ringing of metal, soft steps on rubber flooring, and that rare moment when the mind outran the body and the body outran fear. On the piste, I felt older than my years. When I returned home, I left my bag by the wall and headed for the kitchen, but stopped when I heard footsteps in the living room. My father wasn't alone. In the doorway I saw him. A boy, standing straight like a grown man. His gaze steady, as if he could count the shadows. 15 years old, that's a big gap when you're still a child, but his silence made the distance even wider. His posture surprised me, his quiet confidence, the way he held his eyes. Neither shy nor challenging, simply unflinching. There was nothing childish about his face. I didn't ask who he was, and he didn't explain. It was as if we both understood. Words weren't necessary. Later that evening, I fetched a spare foil from my room and went out into the yard. The air was cool, the grass damp. The moon caught in the branches as if it had been too tired to climb higher. I handed him the weapon without a word. That was my way of reaching out. The first bout didn't last long, but it felt like a revelation. He moved quietly, efficiently, without wasted energy. Each parry was a brushstroke, each thrust a signed line. His calm precision both angered me and made me laugh. I realized he wasn't just older by years. He carried experience. In the space between our blades, a bridge formed. Where my reckless energy met his restraint, something balanced us. I lost again and again, but it didn't feel like defeat. He wasn't humiliating me. He was allowing me to grow. From that day, time broke into small rituals. I showed him the garden, where roses planted by my father for my mother still grew. Each bush was an excuse to talk about simple things. The smell of rain on petals, the fading of twilight on leaves. He didn't interrupt. His listening was so focused, it felt like he held my words in his hands so they wouldn't break. Sometimes we climbed into the attic, where boxes of candy wrappers, old notes, and postcards gathered dust. My secret treasures. His rare half-smiles when I revealed something silly from my childhood felt like secret victories. We played chess. His hands moved the pieces with quiet precision, as if the board was a battlefield he already knew by heart. He explained little, but his silence taught me plenty. And, of course, there were the fencing matches. He corrected my grip, adjusted my stance, and forced me to see beyond the blade, into the space where the next move would be born. When his fingers brushed my wrist, my breath stumbled in my chest. I didn't know the word for it then. I only knew I wanted to feel it again. At night, I would sit in my room and wait for his footsteps to echo in my memory. The house had taken on a new shape with him in it. My days were the same, but sharper, more vivid, as if someone had turned up the contrast. He wasn't like the boys at school. He wasn't like anyone. And maybe that's why, without even realizing it, I began to grow toward him, toward the height from which he looked at life. When my father announced that it was time for the boy to leave, his words fell on the house like lead weights. I was 13, already good at keeping my face still, but inside my skin felt paper-thin. The decision sounded calm, almost businesslike. In that calmness, there was no room for my protest. I realized immediately. Arguing was useless. We had one day, 24 hours to stretch into eternity. That morning we wandered through the garden. Roses bloomed in the heat, and I chased butterflies even though I was too old for it. I wanted time to linger on small things. The softness of grass, the warmth of the sun on stone, the quiet presence of his gaze. I showed him places he already knew, hoping repetition would make them last longer. We laughed, though it came out awkward. Beneath it all lay a single truth. This was goodbye. In the attic, I opened my secret boxes. Candy wrappers, doodles, silly notes, postcards with cheap slogans. Suddenly they all felt like relics. He sifted through them with the care of a librarian handling fragile manuscripts, and I stored every flicker of warmth in his eyes like stolen treasure. We avoided speaking about the obvious, because some truths shatter when voiced. We played chess and he beat me in 3 moves. I made a dramatic show of losing, then plotted my ridiculous revenge in the next round. Every piece moved across the board felt like a small victory against time. But as dusk fell, I knew what I wanted our last memory to be. I brought out the foils. The yard smelled of night, the moon low, curious. I warmed up with intensity, then faced him for our final match. The bout was fierce. I rushed forward, feinting, pushing, desperate to steal one true win. He countered me with the same calm as always. My anger and laughter tangled together. And then, for a heartbeat, I found the gap. My thrust landed before his parry. Just once. A fleeting triumph. I tucked it inside my chest like a medal. Night gathered. The house fell quiet. I went to my room, to the farthest shelf where a small wooden box waited. Inside were 2 bottles of perfume. Simple, cheap. Not rare, not special. But I had chosen them as symbols. I gave him one and kept the other. My heart beat so loud it drowned out my thoughts. I told him silently. We would not use them. We would keep them sealed. These bottles would be our bridge. I sprayed a faint mist on his wrist. A proof of the promise, not a possession. The moonlight caught his profile as he turned to leave. For the first time, I let myself look at him longer than was proper. My chest ached with the knowledge. Our roads were splitting and it would hurt. But that day we had done what mattered. When the door closed behind him, the house felt too large. I sat on the edge of my bed, placed the bottle back in its box, and realized the world had not ended. It had just grown quieter. That night I learned something. Sometimes you grow up not by winning, but by accepting loss as a form of loyalty. Years passed. Childhood slipped away, but memory did not. That day with the perfume bottles and the shadow on my doorstep split my life into before and after. 10 years, it sounds like enough to forget. And yet I carried it all with me. I grew up in a city that never truly slept. I went to university, then to a newsroom. First I wrote about culture, lifestyle, fashion. But soon my curiosity pushed me deeper, into investigations, into the kinds of stories others avoided. I wanted to drag secrets out of silence and into the light. Maybe because I still carried my own unanswered questions. I made friends. Lauren, loud, golden-haired, a whirlwind who could laugh me out of any bad mood. Casey, quieter, thoughtful, forever with a book in hand, the kind of person who spoke only when her words mattered. They became my chosen family, filling the empty corners of my life. And then there was Andrew, tall, confident, and ambitious young lawyer. Everyone said he was perfect for me. Reliable, attentive, with a bright future. I told myself I should love him. And maybe I did, in a shallow, safe way. But when he held me, there was warmth, not fire. When he kissed me, it was correct, not destiny. I couldn't tell if something was wrong with me, or if he simply wasn't the one my soul had been waiting for. Journalism trained me to see truth beneath facades. In my own life, though, I clung to the facade. Are you happy? My friends would ask. I'd smile and say, yes. But at night, I opened a small wooden box and stared at the glass bottle inside. My perfume. Untouched. Unused. Sometimes I held it in my hands and traced its cold surface with my fingers. I never sprayed it. For me it wasn't fragrance. It was a promise. If somewhere out there he still had his sealed, then our bond wasn't broken. Life carried on. Deadlines, long coffee-fueled nights, noisy brunches with my friends, polite dates with Andrew. I told myself not to wait for miracles. But sometimes in a crowd, I'd catch a glimpse of a familiar silhouette. Sometimes in a stranger's gaze, I thought I saw his eyes. My heart would plunge into my stomach, and for a moment I was a little girl again. I kept telling myself the past was just a story. But deep down I knew, it wasn't finished. It returned without warning. One morning I found an envelope in my mailbox. Plain white. No return address. No stamp. Just my name, written in firm, masculine handwriting. Isabella. Inside were photographs, grainy black and white. My father's face stared up at me, but not the father I remembered. Not the stern but kind man who read me stories and corrected my fencing grip. This was a man surrounded by others whose eyes were colder than steel. Men in dark suits, cigars in hand, their expressions unreadable but dangerous. Men my father should never have sat beside. My hand shook. My father had vanished when I was still a teenager. I had forced myself to believe he was dead. That lie made it easier. But these photographs whispered another truth. He had been part of something larger. Something that reeked of gunpowder, money, and secrets. That same evening it happened again. As I left the newsroom, a stranger approached me. Average height, cap pulled low, face mostly hidden. He pressed another envelope into my hand and muttered, "Stay away from the past. There are no answers there, only pain." Then he was gone, swallowed by the crowd. Inside the envelope was a single line, handwritten. "Some secrets kill." I sat alone in my apartment, both envelopes spread before me, my pulse thundering. Fear twisted inside me. I told myself it was a prank, cruel trick, but my heart knew better. This was the beginning. And in the deepest corner of my chest, something long buried stirred awake. A shadow reaching for me again. I couldn't get the photographs out of my mind. At the newsroom, stacks of paper sat on my desk. Articles about a museum project, cultural events, but my eyes saw only one thing. My father's face staring out from that old grainy photo. Those weren't the eyes of a businessman. They were the eyes of a man carrying heavy secrets. The journalist in me woke up, sharper than ever. Not the lifestyle writer, not the film critic, but the investigator. The one who had to know. Began digging. In the dusty archives of the city library and the newsroom basement, I searched old newspapers. Slowly a pattern emerged. My father's name appeared in articles where it shouldn't have. Alongside men whose lives ended violently. Hale, arrested for smuggling. Donovan, vanished without a trace. Santos, killed in a random car crash. And there, close by, again and again, Rivers. My father. Every discovery struck me like a blow. I wanted to believe it was coincidence, that he had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. But my instincts told me otherwise. I filled a notebook with names, dates, connections. My pen scratched across the pages late into the night, each word pulling me deeper into a place I shouldn't go. And soon I noticed them. A man in a gray coat who lingered across the street too long. A black car with tinted windows trailing behind mine for blocks. I told myself it was paranoia. Every investigative journalist feels watched. But in my gut I knew it was real. I tried telling Andrew. He listened, then sighed. "Bella, you're overworked. You need rest." His dismissal cut deeper than I expected. If even those closest to me didn't believe me, then I was alone. But I kept digging. Because if my father was alive, if he was part of something bigger, then I had to find him. That night I stayed too long at the newsroom. Papers piled high, notes scattered, photographs covering the desk. I stared at them until my eyes blurred, chasing patterns that felt more like wounds than answers. By the time I stepped outside, the city was almost asleep. The street lights flickered. Rain had fallen earlier, leaving the pavement wet and reflective. First I just heard footsteps behind me, and more, quickening when I quickened. I turned into a narrow alley, hoping to cut across faster. Mistake. 3 men emerged from the shadows, one ahead, 2 behind. Their faces were hidden under hoods. "Well, well," one sneered. "The little journalist who can't mind her own business." Froze. I don't know what you're talking about." "You will," another interrupted, pulling out a knife. The blade glinted under the streetlight. Rough hands grabbed my arm. My bag fell to the ground. I screamed, but the sound was swallowed by the night. And then darkness moved. A figure stepped out from the shadows. Broad-shouldered, dressed in black. His presence was heavier than the night itself. His voice was low, steady, dangerous. "Let her go." The men laughed. But their laughter ended with the first strike. He moved like lightning. No wasted effort, no hesitation. One attacker crumpled from a punch to the jaw. Another screamed as his arm was twisted until it snapped. The third lunged with the knife, but the stranger caught his wrist, slammed him against the wall, and the knife clattered to the ground. It was over in seconds. I stood frozen against the wall, trembling. He turned toward me. The streetlight caught his face. My breath caught in my throat. "Demian!" My voice was barely a whisper. His eyes met mine. "Bella!" The world stopped. We fled the alley, my legs barely carrying me. His car waited nearby. I sank into the seat, shaking, tears spilling down my cheeks. "Where were you?" The words burst out of me. 10 years, Demian. 10 years I didn't know if you were alive." He didn't look away. "I was where your father sent me. Training, fighting, surviving. They made me into a weapon. I had no choice." I covered my face with my hands, but he pulled them gently away. "Bella, I never forgot you. Ever. The only thing I carried was that bottle. I never opened it. Not once." My chest ached. I fumbled in my bag and pulled out my own bottle. I kept mine too. Years. Untouched. Silence filled the car. The city around us was gone. It was just us. "But how did you know?" I whispered. "How did you know I was in danger?" His voice dropped even lower. "Because your father knew. He predicted this. He knew one day they would come for you. And he gave me one order: protect you. Always. I've been your shadow, Bella. All this time." My head spun. My father alive. Or at least pulling strings from the darkness. I looked into Damian's eyes, torn between fury, relief, and fear. But my heart knew one truth. He was here. And I wasn't letting him go again. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw them again. 3 faceless men, the flash of a knife, the weight of hands on my arms, and then him. The shadow stepping forward. The voice that froze the night. The eyes that stopped my heart. Those eyes haunted me. Dark, endless, familiar. Too familiar. I tossed and turned until exhaustion dragged me into dreams. But the dreams were worse. I was a child again, foil in hand, standing in the garden. Opposite me, him. Younger. His face still soft, but his gaze already sharp, steady. We laughed as our blades clashed, and I felt safe. Always safe. But the dream twisted. His boyish face dissolved into that of the man in the alley. The same eyes, only darker, scarred by years I couldn't see. His hand caught a knife, disarmed an enemy. His voice was the same, but harder, colder. I woke up crying. Morning brought no comfort. On my doorstep lay another envelope. My name written on it. Inside, a single line. "That was your first and last warning." I clutched the note with trembling hands. The attack hadn't been random. Someone wanted me silenced. Someone wanted me afraid. But there was something else too. The one who had saved me. The shadow who had called me by a name I hadn't heard in years. "Demian." I tried to tell my friends. At a cafe, Lauren laughed, brushing it off. "You've been working too much, Bella. You're paranoid." Casey frowned, more thoughtful, but still shook her head. "Stress does strange things. You need to rest." I nodded, pretended to agree. But inside I shattered a little more. If no one believed me, then I truly was alone. That night, I sat with a bottle of perfume in my hands. Cold glass against my skin. I whispered into the silence. "If it was you, if you're still out there, come back." The walls gave me no answer. But my heart beat faster, as if it had heard something in the dark. I couldn't stop. If they wanted me scared, they failed. Fear only sharpened my resolve. I dug deeper, chasing names, connections, threads no one else dared follow. And then I noticed him. At first, it was a man in a gray coat, standing too long across the street, cigarette smoke curling around him as his eyes stayed fixed on me. He sped up. So did he. I ducked into a store, pretending to browse bread and fruit. Through the glass I saw him waiting, watching. My heart hammered against my ribs. I called Andrew, whispered into the phone. Someone's following me. He sighed, annoyed. Bella, you need sleep. You're imagining things. We'll talk later. Click. Silence. The line went dead, and I stood in the store with my phone shaking in my hand. Alone. I forced myself outside. The man was still there, following, step for step. But then, on the next corner I saw another figure. Dressed in black. Moving differently. Controlled. Lurking in the shadow of the buildings. He didn't approach, didn't speak. But when I stopped, he stopped. When I moved, he moved. It was him. I felt it in my bones. The alley came back to me in a rush. The way he fought, the way his eyes found mine, the way he said my name. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel only fear. Felt something else. Strange warmth. A sense of safety I had no right to feel. That night, I sat at my window with the perfume bottle in my lap. The city lights flickered below. My chest ached with something I couldn't name. I pressed the cold glass to my lips and whispered into the dark. If it's you, Demian, come back to me. And though the night answered with silence, I knew. Somewhere out there he heard me. I didn't sleep that night. The fortress was too quiet. Not peaceful. No, this silence pressed against my skin, heavy with vigilance. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the maps pinned to the walls, the weapons locked behind glass. Could I really stay here? Could I truly belong in his world? In the morning I saw them. His men. Hardened faces, scarred hands, cold eyes. They treated Demian with respect that bordered on fear. But when their gazes slid to me, I saw something else, doubt. Distrust. She'll be the weak link, one muttered. The words pierced me. But Demian heard. His voice was sharp, iron-hard. She isn't weakness. She's the reason I fight. The room fell silent. No one dared challenge him. Later, when we were alone, I approached him. My heart hammered, but my voice was steady. I don't want to be your weakness, Demian. I want to stand beside you. Even if it means stepping into the dark. He studied me, his jaw tight. Finally, he moved closer. His eyes burning into mine. If you stay, there's no way back. This world will stain you. There are no guarantees. No safety. Only battles. I inhaled deeply. Then I stay. His eyes closed, as if the weight of my words struck him harder than any blade. When they opened again, he pulled me into his arms, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. Princess, he whispered against my hair, his voice breaking. You have no idea what you've just chosen. Tears filled my eyes, but I smiled through them. I know exactly who I've chosen. And in that moment, I knew this was my first true decision as a woman. And I didn't regret it. We thought we had time. At least a little. But the enemy didn't wait. It was evening. We were in his office. He bent over papers. I scribbled notes in my notebook. Almost ordinary if you ignored the armed guards outside and the red pins on city maps. Then the lights went out. The fortress sank into black. Glass shattered. Heavy footsteps thundered. Gunfire. Down! Demian barked. I dropped to the floor, heart in my throat. The door burst open. Masked men stormed in, guns raised. Where is she? One yelled. River's daughter. Terror froze my veins. But Demian stepped forward. His body between them and me. His voice was lethal calm. Come and try. Chaos exploded. Gunfire cracked like thunder. Sparks lit the room. Demian moved like shadow and steel. Each strike precise, each shot final. His men fought in the halls, but the enemy kept coming. A rough hand yanked me back. I screamed as a knife pressed against my throat. Then the man dropped, choking, Demian above him. eyes blazing with fury. "No one touches her," he snarled. We ran, his grip crushing mine as he pulled me through smoke and blood. The fortress roared with violence, boots pounding, walls shuddering with explosions. He dragged me into a hidden chamber, slammed the steel door shut, and finally turned to me. His chest heaved, his face was streaked with sweat and blood, but his eyes burned steady. "They won't stop," he said. "This is only the beginning." I trembled, every part of me screaming with fear. But deep inside something stronger rose. "Then I'll be with you. To the end." For the first time that night, weakness flickered in his gaze. He reached for me, pulled me into a kiss that was raw, desperate, burning with the knowledge that it could be our last. And I knew. This was no longer just his war. It was ours. After gunfire, silence always comes. But this silence wasn't relief. It was suffocating. It pressed on my chest, roared in my ears, made it hard to breathe. We were in a concrete room, the steel door locked. The walls were cold. I sat on the floor, knees pulled to my chest, shaking. Demian stood nearby. His shirt was stained with blood. Not his own, I prayed. But his face was unreadable, carved from stone. His eyes were darker than night. "Are you hurt?" His voice was rough, as if he'd swallowed fire. I shook my head, but tears spilled anyway. I never thought it would be like this. This is war, isn't it? He crouched in front of me, his hands framing my face. His palms were warm, strong, steady. For the first time since the attack, I could breathe. "Yes, Bella," he said softly. "It's war. And they'll keep coming. Until I end it." I collapsed against him, sobbing. His arms wrapped around me, unbreakable walls shielding me from everything outside. He didn't speak. He just held me, as if letting go would mean losing me forever. When the storm inside me quieted, he reached into his jacket. He pulled out something small. Gasped. "A bottle." His bottle. "You!" My voice broke. "Yes," he said. "I carried it all these years. Never opened it. It was my anchor. My only vow." My hands shook as I opened my own bag. I pulled out mine, the twin. We set them side by side, two small glass vessels, and suddenly, the world felt whole again. "We kept them both," I whispered. "So we kept us." His eyes burned with something fierce. "You understand, Bella," he said. "If you stay, there's no turning back. You'll accept my war, my darkness, my enemies. You'll accept me." I inhaled, heart pounding. "I accept it all. Because your darkness is mine now. I choose you." His mouth crashed into mine, the kiss raw, fiery, filled with everything we had been holding back. Fear, pain, love, it burned through us both. I wasn't a victim. I was his strength. Demian didn't wait. The very next morning, he gathered his men. The war wasn't coming. It had already begun. "There's a traitor among us," he said. His voice was iron, cold, and merciless. "Last night proved it. Today we find him." No one dared question. We drove to an abandoned warehouse. The air inside stank of rust and dust. At the center, tied to a chair, was a man I recognized, one of Damian's own. His face was pale, his eyes darting. Sweat slicked his skin. "You sold us out," Demian said flatly, stepping closer like a predator circling prey. "Because of you, they came for her." My stomach twisted. I whispered, "Demian!" But he raised a hand, stopping me. The gag was ripped away. The man babbled, pleas, excuses, half-formed lies. His words tumbled over each other in a desperate attempt to survive. Demian didn't flinch. "Who paid you?" His voice was low, deadly. The traitor screamed a name. A name I didn't know, but I saw the reaction in the others. The enemy had a face now. And then Demian moved. Quick. Final. The man slumped, silent. I closed my eyes, but I didn't turn away. Because I understood. This was Damian's world. And if I chose him, I chose this too. He approached me, blood still wet on his hands. His gaze was heavy, searching. "This is the truth, Bella. Do you still want to be here?" I trembled, but my voice was firm. "Yes, because I see more than darkness. I see why you fight. You fight for me." And for the first time, his lips curved into a bitter, broken smile. That night I couldn't sleep. The screams, the blood, the betrayal, they replayed in my mind. But when I turned, he was beside me. His sleep was restless, his body tense even in dreams. I reached for his hand. His eyes opened instantly, meeting mine in the dark. "You should be afraid," he whispered. "But you're still here." "I'm here because I love you," I said, the words falling free for the first time. He froze. Then he pulled me against him, kissing me with a hunger that left no doubt. And in that kiss I understood. I hadn't just stepped into his war. I had become part of it. 10 years have passed. Sometimes I think that life, the alleys, the blood, the fear, belonged to someone else. Another woman, another version of me. But whenever I open the small wooden box and see the bottle of perfume inside, the past returns. I remember every second. And I know, without all of it, we wouldn't be here. Our house stands by the ocean. White walls, wide windows, a veranda that drinks in the light. The air always smells of salt, sand, and fruit baskets I set out for the children. Yes, children. 2 of them. Lily, our eldest, is 8. She looks like me, but carries Damian's fire in her soul. Stubborn, brave, her gaze never lowering. She already holds a fencing foil in her hand and insists she'll be a princess warrior, because that's what her father always called me. Jamie, our youngest, is 5. He's more like my father. Curious, playful, always asking questions. His laughter fills the house, so loud it chases away even the darkest shadows. And my father, he lives with us now. No longer a man cloaked in secrets, no longer a name whispered in fear. Just a grandfather. His hair is silver, his eyes softer. He spends his days telling stories to the children, walking them along the shore, building sandcastles with Jamie. When Lily hugs his neck, I see his past fade away. Today we're having a picnic by the ocean. The blanket is spread out on the sand. I unpack baskets, laying out fruit and sandwiches. Lily chases the waves, shrieking with laughter. Jamie builds his fortress of safety out of wet sand. My father sits with a book in his lap, though he watches the children more than he reads. His smile is light, easy. Damian sits beside me. His hair is darker now, with silver threads at the temples, but his eyes burn the same as they always did. His hand rests on my waist, strong, steady. When the children run to him, he lifts them effortlessly, and their laughter rings like bells. I watch him and think. He is no longer the shadow, no longer a weapon. He is a husband, a father, the man I love. "Are you happy?" he asks softly, leaning closer. I look at the sea, the children, my father, and then at him. More than I ever dreamed. He kisses my temple. His whisper brushes my skin. Then it was all worth it. The sun sinks into the horizon. The sky bleeds gold and purple. The waves rise and fall, erasing footprints from the sand. 3 generations sit together. Me, Damian, my father, and before us our children. I take the bottle of perfume from my bag. The same one I've kept all these years. Its twin rests at home, safe. We never opened them. We never will. They're not fragrance anymore. They're symbols. Proof of survival. Proof of us. I hold it close and smile. We survived. We won. We learned to live. And now, 10 years later, I have everything. Family, home, love, and the ocean reminding me every morning. The most important thing is knowing how to come back home.